couple days ago, we looked at an expression Paul used. He said we were to make the most of every opportunity. In other words, we're to be prepared for whatever God sends toward us. And we talked about we're to be more like spiders than bats, not frantically searching for God's opportunities, but ready, always prepared and ready for when God sends an opportunity our way. But that leaves a question. How do I know if an opportunity is from God? And we're going to spend the next 2 days talking about it because it's the very next thing Paul talks about right after he says, make the most of every opportunity. Today what he said next was, therefore do not be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is. In other words, if I want to make the most of every opportunity, I need to know what God's will is. And let me give you 3 P's that can help you understand whether or not something might be God's will, whether or not be an opportunity from God. Because if it violates any one of these, it might not be from God. The first one, by the way, if it violates this one, it's almost certainly not from God because the first P is principles. Anything that violates God's principles is almost certainly not an opportunity from God, no matter how spectacular it may look. If it looks like you have to violate one of God's principles, one of His standards, in order to achieve something, that's probably not an opportunity from God. Also, His purposes. We know what God's purposes are in our lives. He wants us to become the person He designed us to be transformed to conform to the image of Christ. And He wants us in our mission to be reaching the lost and helping the least. Well, if there's something out there and it's a great opportunity, but it looks like a great opportunity, but it's not going to help reach the lost, and it's not going to help in uplifting and helping the least, good possibility that's not from God. And then on the positive side, the third P is, if you look and it seems to be part of God's plan already unfolding, then that's a good possibility it is from God. Maybe it's to join a group that's already doing cool things for God. Well, that's a good possibility. Maybe God's calling me to something He's already doing. Now, it doesn't mean it definitely is an opportunity for me, but it very well could be. And that's something to look at when you see an opportunity. Ask yourself, does it keep in touch with those 3 P's? God's principles, God's purposes, and God's plans. If so, it might be an opportunity from God. And that's today's Jumpstart.